Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. Today I'm sharing with you a Christmas tag or ornament idea that you can add to any holiday gift this year. This year I'm going to attach this tag to a pack of greeting cards to give to my friends and neighbors. Maybe you recognize this card on the front. I make many cards as part of sharing tutorials on my blog and YouTube channel, so this is a wonderful way for me to share what I love with others. This video is part of the Global Stampin Video Hop. This month we are sharing handmade gift ideas, so make sure to keep hopping around to see all the ideas by clicking on the link to the next video in the description below. If you are new to my channel and would like to subscribe, click on the link in the bottom right corner. For the tag, I've used a bunch of different products, and you can use any stamps and paper to create beautiful tags and ornaments like this one. Let's first begin with the core of our tag or ornament. Because I thought that maybe somebody might want to save it and put it on their tree, I thought about making it nice and sturdy. So in a lot of the kits that Stampin' Up! Provides, such as Paper Pumpkin or the kind of the all-inclusive kits, they usually will always include some chipboard. And I like to save a couple of these sheets of chipboard for things like this. And I know that these circles are retired, but I could not get rid of them. Who can get rid of basic circle dies? So these are the layering circle dies. And I've just got the largest. If you don't have something like this, you can just trace a circle, because that's all we're going to be able to do with this circle die. It's not thick enough for us to cut through this chipboard. So all I'm going to do is place it on one side of the chipboard, make sure it goes all the way to the edge, run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So when you are running it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you want to be aware that you do not do too many layers, so it's too hard to run through. So you may have to take out one of the clear plates or something like that, but you can see that all it's doing is pushing the shape into the chipboard. It does not actually cut it out. So really tracing a circle works really well, just as good, really. And then you're going to take a heavy duty pair of scissors and cut along that line. The only reason that I've chose to use this die is because now I can also cut out the paper that I want to cover the chipboard with the die as well, so that they kind of match. So here's my chipboard circle. Now the paper that I'm using comes from the One Horse Open Sleigh paper, which is this paper that has beautiful wintry scenes, but on the back it has some really nice subtle patterns, and that's kind of what I want to use for the back of my ornament. Some are pretty dark, but they also have some light ones. If you do go with a dark one, then you just want to make sure that your images here are more light, just so you have some contrast. So this is the pattern that I used for my first one, and I was thinking maybe of doing my second one with this wood grain pattern here. So you need to cut 2 circles from that pattern. If you're not using a die, you can just trace your chipboard and cut along that. And I've found that you can get 2 of these in that 6-inch width, because this is just slightly smaller than 3 inches. So once you have those out, you're going to cover them. Cover the chipboard. And I'm just using liquid glue. Many of you know that I really like liquid glue because you can move it around and adjust it. And we just want it to cover the edge of that chipboard. And then do the same on the other side. When you use liquid glue, you do need to smooth it out with a bone folder so it doesn't buckle around where you've added it. So take a bone folder and just smooth it out. Okay, so to make sure that the edges are smooth and the same position, they match up, you can use a little bit of sanding paper. And I like to just rub it around on the edges just a couple times to smooth it out. And then once you've gone all the way around, if you need to, you can also go from the top down. And that will also smooth out that edge for you. You may want to add a little bit of adhesive closer to the edge as well. That's up to you. And do that to both sides. So once we have that where we want it, we're going to add a cover to the edge because we don't want to see that raw edge. So I'm going to take that same liquid glue. I like to use the liquid glue for this technique because when it's dry, it is still tacky. And you're just going to add liquid glue along the edge. You don't need to cover it completely because we're going to take a sponge brush. So this is just a craft sponge brush, and you're going to smooth it out along the edge to make sure to get it all over. Okay, so once you've completely covered it with glue, you'll just take a minute and let that dry. And then with some of the gilded leafing, you're just going to roll the glue into the gilded leafing. If you want to, you can leave it raw like this, but I wanted it to have more of a finished edge. So then I just rubbed off any excess, and you get this really beautiful gold edge to your ornament or tag. I am going to go ahead and punch a hole near the top, and that will just tell me where the top of my ornament is so I can adjust everything to that position. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start stamping. So for this tag, I used more blues and like rosy reds for the colors. I think I've got like a misty moonlight, shaded spruce, and a cherry cobbler, so they're kind of warm. For this one, I wanted a little cooler colors. I'm going to do, let's do old olive for the branch in the back. And the stamp set I'm using is the Magical Meadows. And then for my berries, I want to do some red. So this is just real red. And then I'm going to clean that and stamp it again so that I can get green for the leaves. And I'll show you a really easy technique to get a multicolored image. So this green is Mossy Meadow, so something just a little darker. So then you're going to take your dies and cut these out. And the Magical Meadow stamp set does come with coordinating dies, as well as some really great dies that I've used here in the background. And I'll show you those. So this is called the Magical Meadow dies. So we're going to go ahead and cut those out. So I've cut those out here, and then I'm going to fussy cut around the berries. So this technique is called paper piecing, and you just cut out the areas that you want to cover up with a different color. So you're stamping it twice, one in one color and one in another color, and then combining them together. So we'll take some glue and put it on the original piece. You could also use glue dots, and then you just add one right over the existing berries. Just like that. I also wanted to add another little touch of gold, so I have the gold adhesive back shimmer paper, and I'm going to cut out one of the dies from the Magical Meadows dies. When you run this through your machine, make sure that you run it through a couple times just to get a nice clean edge, because that paper is thick. So you're going to go ahead and remove it. I've already removed the paper backing because it stayed connected to my larger piece of paper. And so we're just going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to make sure your hole's at the top so that it hangs. I'm going to place this on the right side, and some areas I'm going to actually remove. So this small piece at the bottom, and maybe this piece here on the right, because they're going to get covered up anyway. So press that down. So now you can add your stamped images with some mini dimensionals and kind of have those come off as well. And you can see how that area here kind of covered up the gold. And so I'm just going to kind of lay that right on top, kind of where it was supposed to be, but I didn't want to cover up all that beautiful gold. So place that on the main branch, and then you can add your berries as well. If you want to connect any parts, just add a little liquid glue or a glue dot to hold things in place. And if you want to add more gold, you can as well. So I decided to add that last piece over the top berry area. So I think that looks nice. Let's do the greeting. So for the greeting, I am using Early Espresso ink. And I wanted something nice and bold, and so I'm pulling from the Merry and Bright stamp set. And I love this, just Merry Christmas, but you could really use any greeting from any stamp set too. And the technique I want to share with you is how you can heat emboss in any color. And maybe you've seen this done before, but you can use an embossing buddy. But because I'm just doing the words here, I'm not really concerned about extra powder going anywhere. I'm not going to worry about it. And we do need to be fast with this technique. So have your clear embossing powder nearby. So I am going to stamp in Early Espresso my greeting. Make sure you get a lot of ink. And you're going to stamp it on your paper. And then as soon as you let go, you're going to get some of clear embossing powder and tap that all over your stamped image. And what's going to happen is the ink is going to hold on to that embossing powder. But because this ink is like water-based, it's going to dry quickly. That's why we need to do these steps one right after the other. So we're going to go ahead and heat this up. And you can see how that creates a nice shiny greeting for our tag or ornament. So now we're going to fussy cut this out. And like I said, we're just going to cut right along the edge. So there's really not going to be any excess cardstock shown. And that is why I did not do an embossing buddy. So now I'm adding dimensionals to the back of my greeting. Because this is really thick right here, I'm going to do 2 layers of dimensionals. And that's going to make it high enough that it will be able to sit over these winter, kind of a winter bouquet, I guess you could say. So for the Christmas, which I'm going to do first, I only place dimensionals on the left half so that I can have it sit. Oh, make sure it's nice and straight. So I can have it sit over these little berries and such. And so you can tack that down with some liquid glue as well if you're nervous about it coming off. Whoop, I put a lot on there. Spread that off. There. And then you can add Mary right above that. Looks like maybe I only needed 1 set on that one too. I'll bring it down a little closer. Okay. And again, a little bit of liquid glue just to hold it in place. There we go. Super cute. You can also add more embellishments if you want, but I'm just going to add a little loop with about 5 inches of this silver thread from the Simply Elegant trim pack. You could use any type of thread, linen thread, baker's twine, even a thin ribbon would work really nicely too. 5 inches is just barely enough for me to wrap around my finger to create a knot. So if you need a little bit more, you can always do a little more for that. And my tag / ornament is all done. I'm going to show you how it looks now on my gift. So I have a cellophane bag here. It is about 6 inches by 12 inches. And it's perfect for my little box of cards. And I'm just going to pop those cards right into the bag. Maybe I don't need the box, but I like the stability that it gives. It fits the envelopes and 5 cards nicely. Then I'll take some ribbon, and this is the iridescent ribbon. And I like to do 16 inches of ribbon when I'm making a bow. It gives me a lot of ribbon to work with. So go ahead and tie that around the top of the cellophane bag. I do try to keep the ends of the ribbon about the same length. And then you can take your ornament, string it through. I like to take 1 more knot before tying a bow. And then trim off any excess. So even though I do try to keep the ends of my bow similar, sometimes it doesn't always work out. And there is my cute tag, and I can always write on the back, "Love the Christiansens," and drop that off at my neighbor's house. Let's see, can you see that okay? There we go. And if you are interested at all in getting the link to either the acetate box or the cellophane bag, I will add those to the description below as well. If you are interested in getting written instructions or seeing close-up images on how to create these tags / ornaments, you can visit my blog, creativechelsea.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.